I met God last night at one of those house parties. You know the scene. Students, drunk as disinherited lords, littering the stairway. Bottle caps and broken glass, and severed limbs, and chunks of brains, and midget nuns binging on cocaine. You know the sort of affair, if you can remember any of it, but you weren't really there. Do you know who I am? I'm God, me, the man himself. Handshake as firm as granite, about 45 or so, the beginnings of a distinguished grey in his burns. I used to be called Tom O'Shea until about a year ago when I had what many would entitle an epiphany. Would you like to hear about it? Well, he was God after all. I can barely restrain myself from kicking my own head in with the anticipation. It was lost on him. And so, being a polite soul and quite well brought up, I prepared myself inwardly and leaned against the wall, felt myself sink into it until only half my face remained visible, half man, half wall, and the half inside the wall closed its eyes and had a bit of a snooze. I was having a stroll at the time, he said, minding me own. You know the way you do. When out of the corner of my eye I caught a glimpse of this bush. Nothing special, mind, just an ordinary bush. But it seemed that this bush looked back at me. And of a sudden, like a Van Gogh painting, everything suddenly flamed with alive, and I experienced this strange perception that I inhabit this envelope of flesh with no real comprehension. Accept it without question, carelessly, like an afterthought. And then I became aware, in a whole new way, mind, of my arms and legs, head, feet and hands, the heart and lungs, brain, liver, the spleen, the oxygenated plasma pulsing through this strange machine. And no sooner had I settled on this notion than I was popped out of the vortex of myself to observe, as though I was having a pint on the moon, this tiny spinning blue thing, and it brimming to overspillage with mammals and birds and insects and fish, swimming, leaping, living and lush with vitality. Oh, I had to catch my breath and wonder at the scale of birth and growth and death and birth. And all of it engineered by time and the opportunistic twist of mutation. And then it occurred to me that I am the engineer, and that I myself do not exist. It was a bit of an unexpected twist. I don't follow, I said. I am God, and you are God, and each and every one of these Nimrods puking on the lawn and riding each other into a coma in someone else's bedroom and rolling joints and drinking beers. All of them are God. Never a fixed or finished thing, we are processes engaged in the act of becoming. Our every breath, a billion different atomic transactions. Each of us, a blink in geological time, like bubbles on the surface of a boiling pan. And God is the sum of everything, and the sum of everything equals naught. Now, isn't that a wonderful thought? I have to admit, I didn't understand any of it. So I said, right you are, and nodded me head thoughtfully, or at least as thoughtfully as your head can nod when half embedded inside a wall. So you're God, I said. With a little g, he said. Must be quite taxing, I said. Nothing at all to do with me, he said. And every bit as idiosyncratic as a fish engaged in a badminton tournament, he smiled and wandered back into the thick and thin of that drunken melee with its goofy grin, and my head started to spin. So I pulled it out of the wall, and what the hell, followed him in.